Welcome to Locker Room Talk, sports talk for the athletes, presented by EAMG Sports. My name is Jake O'Donnell, and I am the CEO and founder.
I am Evan Friend, and I am the coordinator of athlete operations at EAMG Sports.
Today, we are fortunate enough to have two former professional NFL players with us, with Murphy and Ricky Reynolds. Guys, it's great to have you here today. How are we doing?
We're doing pretty good, Jake and Evan.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's good to be on and, always ready to talk about football. So it should be a good day.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So before we dive into the highlights of our athletes, I want to ask you a little bit of background about yourself. I know you're the vice president of performance now over at House of Athlete. But before spending your college career at Idaho, you were signed by the BC Lions. What was that transition like, moving from college football to professional football, especially Canadian football?
I think, Canadian football is a lot different, that transition, because it's a whole different game you're learning. And in the United States, if you play in college, you want to go to the NFL first. I didn't have that opportunity, and I knew I wanted to continue to play. So, you get into camp as a pro, and I think it's just the same as high school to college. There's always things different, but the ball is brown and the field and line the same. So at the end of the day, it's just about making plays and trying to impress a coach, impress a GM, and understand that it's a business. And I think once you do that and understand the situation, it's football. So the transition was just different, more different, because it was a different game. As a receiver, you can run to the line of scrimmage. There's more people on the field, so that was more of a transition for me. And understanding it was a professional business. I think was the biggest thing. Outside of that was just like, once you get those two things down, man, the ball's in the air, you catch it, or you tackle, or you run.
Yeah, no, definitely. So back in '99, you spent the year with the Bucs and the Vikings, and this was your first time making an NFL roster. What did that mean to you?
After a while, when I first got there, it was a dream. When I was with the Vikings, it was a dream come true. And after a while, it just turned into goal setting, work. Like, that was the next step, and it just was really a goal of mine. It wasn't a dream anymore. I wasn't enamored by anybody. It was just next step. I knew I could play in the NFL. I knew what I could do. People always talk about timing, the right situation. And so that's what I was waiting for. I knew I'd be ready for it. So it was just, I just felt it was a matter of time. Like, this is what's next. Do what you continue to do. Have a process every day. Real intentful on my work. Making sure that every day there was something that I was going to improve on. And just being ready for my opportunity. There's a lot of really good players in the NFL. A lot of guys that are playing for a lot. I think that was the biggest thing I learned was, make sure that you have your why up front, because, if you got the same athletic ability, same talent as a guy, but he's into his why, like he knows why he's out there doing things, you're not going to beat him, and that's what I really try to focus on is, why am I playing football? I love the game, but there was more to it for me. As I got older, I understood that, and it really helped me develop as a player.
So you talked about, setting goals and your why. What really, drove you to fight through all the perseverances of, being a professional player and understanding the business side of the game? What was your biggest driving force in pursuing that?
I didn't have kids at that time or a wife, but that's kind of adjusted my why, and I think everybody understands that's in that situation now. But my family, my mom and dad, I tell people the story every time. My dad's a nuclear chemist, and he's really big into solving problems. Like, my dad never really told me what to do, but we always have conversations about what I did right and wrong. I might have heard my dad complain maybe twice in my life. I mean, maybe, have a complaint or an excuse. And my mom was a real driven person, still is a real driven person, and never let me have an out. There was no excuses. Everybody was accountable in my family. And I respect my family so much for putting me in a situation to have the opportunity to play in the NFL. I I'm not a big guy. I know all these top athletes say, Jordan, I got cut. Tom Brady, was the 6th round draft, whatever that is. I've always stayed on who has prayed for me, who's given me love. And my why is was my parents when I was playing football. Like I I felt worse telling them about me getting released than me getting released. And so I stayed in, what would my parents do? How would my parents respond? Um, and it helped me fight every day. There was never an issue. Like my dad never complained. So, everybody doesn't like everything about their job. But I never stayed in that space. I mean, practice roster, it wasn't the best of jobs, but it was a lot better than most. And I just always stayed in that good space, worked hard, and every time I just thought about them. I don't want to go home and tell them I got released. Not for me as much as them, and I wanted to do right by them because my whole life they did right by me.
This past offseason, some of our EAMG athletes were fortunate enough to work out with you over at House of Athlete. And now through 6 games, some of our guys have had a pretty impressive season so far. So we'd like to kind of dive into some of their highlights here and get your guys' reaction on our EAMG fam here. So Shaheem Battle out of NC State plays defensive back. Shai's been pretty fortunate to work out with you, this past summer. This is his redshirt sophomore year. 6'2", 195, and through 4 games so far. He did get injured in game 1, so he missed a couple games this year. He's had 10 total tackles and 2 interceptions. Now let's see what that looks like. So this is up against East Carolina. Just nothing there to make any plays for East Carolina quarterback. Shai picks it up, takes it back.
Yeah.
Run that back here.
Yeah, Shaheem's a big defensive back. They're a lot corners are a lot bigger nowadays than when it went back in the day when I played. And being 6'2", 195, he's big, physical. And he's a guy that these NFL teams are looking for. They're looking for guys with size, with long arms that can get up there and press. With these big receivers. We talked about Bryson, who's 6'4". You got to have some guys that can match up. And Shaheem is a guy that you can match up on some of these big guys and be physical with them. And yeah, he's got a good start. 2 interceptions early in the year. So we'll be watching, see what he continues to do.
Yeah, poor read by ECU here, but great way for Shaheem Battle to capitalize on the play. Next is up against Florida State. This past week. Another one.
We were at this game. It's fun to watch that live.
Yeah, I think they were running a smash concept over here. And I remember watching Shai kind of, bait Jordan Travis a little bit here. Didn't really give him a solid look and kind of played both the hitch and the corner route there. Just threw right into coverage.
Yeah, it just shows that he's comfortable playing zone, sitting in the zone, reading, just making a play on the ball.
Yo, as someone who works with a lot of receivers, what kind of trouble you think Shai is going to give, a lot of receivers based on his build and his playmaking abilities?
I think, like Ricky was saying, how long he is, being 6'2", 195 not only helps when you're covering those big receivers, on the next level, but even for the smaller receivers that are quicker and you need to get hands on them to slow them down, being that big is a blessing. And he's a student of the game. When he was here, he was asking so many questions. he really wanted to understand. He got, Caillou Kelly was here, Garrett Williams. Those guys exchanged information and really, talked about, football. And I appreciate that, in young guys when they understand it's a lot more than just being athletic. So I think that's what he's going to cause guys issue is not only his athletic ability and his structure, but his mental side of it. He's really going to make sure that he's locked in. You know.
So now we got Brian Batty out of University of South Florida. Brian plays running back, and he is a true sophomore. He's 5'8", 165. And through 6 games, he's had 74 attempts for 473 yards and 4 touchdowns. Had a great week this week. I think he had 150 rushing yards and a touchdown. Here we go. Here, Brian just taking off.
Yeah, he's a quick one. It's tough for these, defenders to try to tackle a guy that size, that with that quickness and speed and athletic ability. You can tell that he's been doing it during the course of the year with his speed and quickness. He has great patience, when he gets the ball before he hits the hole, and then once he hits it, he's able to have some explosiveness to him. And I can see it. I can see the patience. I can see him just kind of waiting for his chance to make plays, and then once he sees it, boom, he takes off. He does a good job of that.
A lot of guys talk about his size, potentially being a problem, but I think he's able to use it to his advantage a little bit, and we'll check out here up against Cincinnati how slippery he got through these holes. Just boom. It's too quick to catch up with.
Yes, he is. Yeah, very quick guy.
Yeah. And I mean his size, it only limits him if he allows it. I mean there's some guys in the NFL that are about that size, or you look at Barry Sanders, and Barry was obviously a little bit thicker, but he wasn't anything as far as height. Just used to wreck defenders, wreck them.
Yep, it's all about making plays. I mean, it doesn't matter, like Yo said, about your size, how big you are, how little you are. If you can go out there and execute, make plays, you can play. That's what it's about.
Speaking of playmakers, now we got Q Reed out of James Madison University in Virginia. This is actually JMU's first year in the FBS, and I was up there previously myself. Within their first year, they are now in the top 25 as of this week. So JMU is having a great year so far. And let's check out redshirt junior Q Reed, 6 foot 195, and through 5 games he's had 13 total tackles and 1 PD. So this is up against App State. This was a huge play for Q to make at this time of the game. We're late in the 4th quarter. JMU's up by 4 points. Huge 4th down stop.
Game winner.
It's a big
Game
hit.
winner right there.
Big hit. Yeah, he's physical. He's a big guy.
Yeah, that's a good play.
What would you say, Yo, and you, Ricky, like the ideal size for a DB? Obviously that might look a little different in college, but in the NFL, what would you say like height and weight would be, the perfect size for a safety, free safety?
For free safety?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's changed over the years. I know way back in the day, when you had the, Don Rogers, those guys that were, Tim McDonald, 6'3", 6'4", free safeties and things of that nature. They were big hitters. Now you don't need that. You just need guys that are smart, that are, very intelligent back there, that can get the defenders lined up, that can make the checks and reads. You'll see a lot of guys that are nowadays that are, 6 foot or less. Honey Badger, what is he, about 5'9", 5'10". You see guys like that get it done. So I don't know if there's an exact size that you need, especially at safety. Just because, like I said, you're back there, you're not necessarily covering receivers one-on-one. You got to be very intelligent, to play back there and physical. to be a safety in this league.
Yeah, and with all the new rules that the NFL and the NCAA have implemented with targeting, I think the days of guys like Sean Taylor, long behind us, the big 6'4", 6'3" safeties who are coming down to knock your teeth out, like Q did here. I think those days of the game are starting to become behind us.
Yeah. Most of those guys now that are built like that, they're going to move to a outside linebacker. The game's so much, like Rick say, on speed. I mean, you have, Honey Badger. Even, in Tampa, you have Winfield, who's might be 5'10". Logan Ryan, one of my guys, they brought in to be a free, and then either to nickel corner or Winfield nickel corner. And Logan might be 6 foot, but he's 190 pounds, 185 pounds. So, it's more about, like Ricky said, covering ground, understanding and being a general out there for the back group, understanding what they're trying to do to attack and just being in the right position. And, I think that if you have a big guy like, what's the kid? Is it Hamilton from the Ravens? Got drafted high.
From Notre Dame?
Big kid like that can do that, play that space, you'll take him. But it's not a certain thing you're looking for, I feel.
Yeah. That's it.
So another JMU guy, Reggie Brown, who spent some time with you, Yo. His receivers, redshirt junior, 6'1", 190, and through 4 games, he's had 14 receptions, 210 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Let's check him out.
Yeah, I like Reg. Like a lot of bias on here, a lot of JMU coming up.
A little bit.
JMU has playmakers.
They do. So this is game 1, Middle Tennessee State, and this is first touchdown of the year for James Madison, Reggie Brown in the.
We must have some kind of JMU connection, don't we?
Something like that. Something like that.
Yeah, Reggie Brown has some nice hands. Like, those are some nice grabs that he makes right here on these highlights.
It's touchdown number 1. So now let's look at here's the next play. I believe it's the same route or play concept. Reggie Brown again, back in the end zone. Touchdown number 2. And we got Ron Awat.
Yeah, so Ron plays running back at UTEP. He's a redshirt senior in his last year of eligibility. Real solid back, 6 foot, 213 pounds. So, good build. Through 7 games, he has 97 attempts, 431 yards, and 2 touchdowns. UTEP actually has another really good back in Deion Hankins. So, they split time a lot, and they like to pound the rock. So, let's get into some of his plays. This is against New Mexico State, which is actually a rivalry game for UTEP and New Mexico State. I think they call it the Battle of I-10 because that's the freeway between El Paso and up to New Mexico. Looks like here makes one guy miss, breaks a tackle, right into the end zone. And we'll go through that one more time so you guys can see it. Honestly, it looks like he made the whole defense miss in the beginning. So what do you guys think of that play? What do you guys think of his build?
Yeah, I mean, he's solid, and I think, in that, 6 foot 213, that's a good size for a back. And he's got really good, balance. I think, with the back is always important to be able to take a hit and to be able to change directions. I think that's, you see a back when they're really good and solid when it hits coming or when that hole is opening and it's no wasted movement. On that play, as he looks at it, he cut all the way back to the left. That was put that foot in the ground and change directions. And just good solid base helps with that. Good size too.
Yeah, no, the greatest backs make safeties and linebackers miss at the next level. So Ron did that right here and saw the end zone.
Yeah, like Yo said, I think he has I like his size. 6 foot 213, solid back. Good quickness and he's can change directions. Very effortlessly. He's pretty good. I like it.
Ricky, you were a DB, correct?
Yes. Hmm.
So back in your heyday, what backs gave you nightmares? Which ones were the hardest to tackle?
Well, number one guy, Barry Sanders.
Oh,
Yeah, he was. Now you see him, now you don't. I mean, Barry was a guy that was something else, especially with his speed. He's a guy that can go from almost standing still to boom, taking off into a 4-3. I mean, he was explosive. In and out of his breaks. And so when you had to tackle Barry, you had to just take a shot. You just had to go 100 miles an hour and take a shot because if you broke down on him, it was over. He's gonna chop down on you, make a move, and he is going the other direction. Um, so you just had to go at Barry and shoot what you had and try to get him down, or gang tackle. Barry Sanders
yeah.
was the real truth.
So what I'm hearing is you broke your ankles a few times.
I was wondering if you guys are gonna pick up on that.
He's basically describing it in detail.
Hey, don't look for that film now. Don't look for the film.
Might be able to find it somewhere.
Now,
He told you now.
yeah. Now, Craig Ironhead Hayward was another one. He was just big, and he ran me over a couple times. I gotta hate to admit that.
Might have to look for that too.
Yeah, he
Might
was
have to
probably
find
at
that
least
here.
280 easily.
You weren't the only one he ran
yeah.
over, so don't even worry about it.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
sweet. That was some of the highlights from our guys' first 6 weeks. We're gonna come back and look back at the overall rest of the season. I appreciate you guys taking the time to look at our guys and give us a little bit of insight into your background. And until next time, thank you for tuning in.
We enjoyed it. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it, guys. A lot of fun. Thank you.